Welcome to Lansing, Michigan, which is the site of the Historic Cars Show in conjunction with the 105th anniversary of Oldsmobile. My name is Bill Boreski from Show and Strip Video Productions, and during the next 2 hours I'm going to be your host. We're going to be covering all the activities in town here. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's hit the show. Okay, standing next to me, a gal I'd like you to meet, and this is?
Deborah Horstick.
And Deborah, you're from the REO's Transportation Museum here. Tell us just briefly, what is the museum all about?
We're about Lansing history, about Lansing transportation, about REO's himself, the family, and we have the vehicles here that everybody wants to see.
Okay, and we could see like from 1897, the first Oldsmobile?
We have the one and only 1897 in existence, and our exhibits will vary, and right now we're up to 2002, but we change them every 3 months.
Okay, so if I'm visiting in town, this is a place I want to come to.
Oh, definitely. It is the place.
Okay, and what hours are you open during the week?
10 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday, Sunday noon to 5.
Okay, and you also got a real nice gift shop there.
Oh, we've got a wonderful gift shop. Where else can you get Oldsmobile memorabilia for such a great price?
I know you're busy. We're going to let you get back to work. Thanks for spending just this 1 minute with us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you all. This is the kickoff ceremony for the Historic Cars of Lansing, honoring Old's 105th birthday, honoring the cars of Lansing from the historic cars of Rio, Star, and Durant, and of course all the new cars that are now being built in Lansing by GM. We're here today to honor two people who have donated some very nice artifacts to us. It's the kind of thing that keep this museum going. And now we have the museum director, executive director, Deborah Horstick. Would you like to say a few words, Deborah?
I just want to welcome you also to the REO's Museum and appreciate how much everyone has done for us to make this nonprofit organization a hit and this whole event. This is a wonderful thing, and if it wasn't for people who donate vehicles like this, we wouldn't be where we are today. And Oldsmobile will live on no matter what GM says, because we're an Oldsmobile town. So thank you all.
We have another person I'd like to introduce. We call her the First Lady of Oldsmobile, Miss Early. Would you step forward here just to say hi? And we don't know what we do without her, because she is the queen. If you need something, why, she's the one that knows where it is, how to get it, and has done so much for this museum and Oldsmobile and the city of Lansing. Helen?
Thank you, Dwayne, the queen of his gas machine. Is that right?
That's good.
I was quoting from the lyrics of the most famous of all automobile songs, In My Merry Oldsmobile. Come away with me, Lucille, in my merry Oldsmobile. Down the walks of life we'll fly, automobubbling, you and I. A new word was created then, automobubbling. To the church we'll swiftly steal, and our wedding bells will peal. you can go as far as you like with me, Lucille, in my merry Oldsmobile. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Helen. That's very nice. And now for the real honorees today. We've got two cars. We've got this beautiful 21, and then we've got the real fire truck out in the other room. We'll go to that next. I want to, Skylar and Dottie, would you come forward, please? We have Rachel in the middle, and we have Dottie, and this is Skylar. Now, this is, the Borst have donated this beautiful 21. It's a V8, 7-passenger, Model 46, and it is just an absolute godsend for this museum because we didn't have anything of this quality in this year before. A lot of people don't know that Oldsmobile made a V8 back in those days, but these people here are responsible for the generous donation, and we thank them so much, and there's no way we can ever repay them for the great service they've given us by donating this vehicle to us for posterity. Skylar, thank you so much.
Wayne, we're very pleased to be able to do it. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're pleased that it's got a good home now.
We'll try to take care of it. All right. And now let's go up and look at the other car we want to dedicate today. Here and beside me is a 1938 Rio hose truck. And this is a great addition to our museum. It's something we didn't have. A lot of people in this day and age don't know much about Rio. Rio, of course, built cars after R.E. Olds left the Olds Motor Works from 1905 until 1936. And after that, they built trucks up until the 80s when they finally, the liquidators took it over and we lost it. But this is an absolutely beautiful truck. I said, it's 1938. It has a Gold Crown engine in it, and it was restored by Mr. Sturck from List, Pennsylvania. And Hugh had bought the truck several years ago and graciously donated it to us, and it certainly, you can see by the looks of it, it's a striking addition to this museum. And again, another thing, we did not have anything like it. And so it helps round out our preservation of history for Oldsmobile, City of Lansing, and of course, its founder of the greatest car company ever, R.E. Olds. And now I'd like to introduce to you Brenda and Hugh Vandervoort, who donated this beautiful car to us. Hugh, Brenda, thank you.
Thank you. We certainly are glad we donated it. We know it will be preserved, and it's a real piece of history, and we want everyone to enjoy it. And this was the way it could be done.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now we'd like everybody to enjoy the rest of the meet. Like I say, it's officially started now. There are many, many things to do. You all seen the schedule. It's going to be a busy 4 days. So with that, we thank everybody for showing up today and appreciate, again, the donation by Hugh Vandervoort and his wife and Skylar Borst and his wife Dottie. Thank you again and again.
Is this event big? You better believe it's big. Just like the 100th anniversary of Oldsmobile, this is now the 105th anniversary of Oldsmobile. We've got live TV coverage, Channel 6 here from Lansing, out filming the activities, and coming on at 6 o'clock with a highlight of the event.
Seriously wrong with our audio board.
Testing 1, 2, 3. This is microphone check. We've got forecast for tonight, clear skies. Temperature to be near 70 degrees. Somebody's lost the ship. They had to go with the batteries and that. Anniversary for Durant, Orioles, and Olds. Now we've got a couple of Olds right here. These are matching 98 Olds. 1959, they're matching. They look exactly like the white and gray. And you can look back through here. There are some 1,200 cars all around, not only the Orioles Museum, but downtown Lansing along where the river runs by the Lansing Center, all the way to Shiawassee Street and beyond. There's a lot of cars out here. I advise you to get down here to see the history of Lansing with these cars all over. Beautiful evening for it. Let's take a look right now at live Storm Tracker 6 Doppler radar. Nothing happening out there. Things are very quiet. We are looking at very little chance of rain over the next 24 hours, even though we do see some showers up toward the north, and those showers will move through up to the north. I don't expect to see it here. So we'll talk more about that and have the Storm Tracker 6 forecast when we come back live in downtown Lansing. Jane, back to you. The forecast is coming up. You're watching WLNS News Center 6 at 5. Hard up. Don't do that. Come down. Be live. Orioles Museum has spread out all over the river along the Lansing Center, down along Shiawassee Street. The performance scene that you've ever seen. Matter of fact, this is a replica of the 1904 curved dash holes that they brought out here for us as well. All right, let's see if the weather's going to hold out for the event, which goes on through Saturday, by the way. So you come out here and you can see the cars 8 till, I think, 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Yes, it's 8 until 5 o'clock. All right, let's take a look now at live Storm Tracker 6 Doppler radar. Scanning out.
Standing next to me, a gentleman, you've seen him out here before at the OCA shows, Murphy Walker from Texas. They do things in a big way down there in Texas. Murphy, tell us about this. This is big. What have you got here?
This is started with a 70 W30 hardtop, and I married the bed from a 70 El Camino because I've always loved them both, and I wanted something for Darla and I could cruise in.
It's different.
Yes, sir, it's different.
Rare, one of a kind.
I guess you could say so, but it's all Oldsmobile. It's a 30 over 455 with a 700 R4 overdrive and a 390 posi rear end. And at 70 miles an hour, it's 1,500 RPM cruise.
Not even working it.
Yeah, it's turned out pretty good.
Okay, it's different. We like it.
Well, thank you.
And good luck out there.
Thank you.
All right. Here's a couple arrivals that just got in from the state of Maine. This is
Herb Mikey.
Bonnie, Mikey.
Nice meeting you, folks. How was the trip?
Well, it was all right. We had one incident which I didn't think too much of. There was this old pickup truck, and he stopped. His car stopped on him, and he rolled right onto a 2-lane bridge and stopped, and we were right behind him. And these trucks kept going by, and pretty soon this truck pulled out crossways from us, and another truck demolished it.
Okay, say no more. How far was the trip in? How many miles?
1,200.
1,200, and how long did it take you to get here?
3 days.
3 days.
But
Okay.
we could drive all day long.
All right, we're going to let you get into the show here.
Okay.
Thanks for spending that moment with us.
You're welcome.
Of course I do. You can say anything.
Standing next to me, a gentleman you've seen before on camera here. He's actually starting to be a good friend of mine, Dwayne Allen. And Dwayne, nice seeing you out here again.
Thank you.
What we're going to be looking at this morning is something that's real rare, and this is a inaugural showing of a vehicle that has been in the works for quite some time. And Dwayne, I'm going to have you tell us just briefly now, because we've got to give the credit to the gentleman that has constructed this vehicle. But what are we going to be looking at?
Well, you're going to be looking at a reproduction of a 1897 Olds. Originally, there were 4 of them built. This is number 5. And it's not a replica, it's a reproduction, because it's built exactly like the original. There's only one of the originals left, which is in the museum on display every day at the R.A. Olds Museum. This particular vehicle was a dream of Joe Murley from Duanesburg, New York, who you'll meet shortly. And it's been in the works for several years. And Joe is a master craftsman, both in metal and in wood. And he built this car from scratch, exactly like the original, using the specifications off the original. He went in and measured it, which he had to get permission from the Smithsonian who owns the car. It's on loan to the R.A. Olds Museum. So what you're going to see today is truly the number 5 1897 Oldsmobile.
I am sure glad that we came out to this show, because I'm going to look at something that down the road in history I'm going to remember. I was out there at that event and seen that car, because where is this going to go now from here?
Well, it'll be in the museum from time to time. It'll be on the road. Oldsmobile and General Motors will show it. Joe, of course, will show it at meets around the country. So it'll be something that people who in the old car interests will see off and on. And we're hoping that it'll be in the museum quite a bit. So probably we'll have keep track of it, so if anybody wants to know where it is, we'll be able to tell them.
Okay, thanks, Dwayne. All right, we're going to be meeting a gal here that's got a birthday coming up in the next few days. I took a look at her. I was kind of guessing, well, this gal probably in the early 70s. But I don't know. I'm not really a guy to judge age. And this is
Nina Burnham. This is my mother-in-law.
Okay. We're out here for something special, of course, the 105th anniversary of Oldsmobile. And this kind of ties in because your mother-in-law is...
Same exact age as the first Oldsmobile, 1897. She was born, so she'll be 105 also.
Wow. You look excellent for 105. I hope I could get there. I assume you're an Oldsmobile driver?
Oh, sure.
Sure, you bet.
Yes, indeed.
And from what you were telling me, John, she has driven up to till 7 years ago. So
The reason she stopped is because she had a hip replacement, and so she couldn't drive. So she might still be driving if that hadn't happened.
it's really kind of maybe a shame she couldn't make it and drive at 100, but she got up to 98, which is quite an accomplishment. Well, happy birthday again.
Thank you so much.
I know it's, just a few days early.
Yes, that's right.
2 weeks.
But we're glad that you came out, and it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Behind me is the 1897, which you're going to unveil. And right now, I want to introduce to you the master craftsman, the guy who dreamed this thing up and built it from scratch, from Duanesburg, New York, Joe Murley. Joe? I'll have Joe tell you a little bit about the car, so you get an idea of what it is and how you come by it. And I'll turn it over to Joe right now.
Thank you, Dwayne. Well, I don't know. This is something I've wanted to do for many years. It's a way of leaving something behind and preserving history. There is one car left. There were 4 of these built originally, and unfortunately 3 of them were destroyed in a fire at the factory in March 9th of 1901, leaving just the one car that's now at the Olds Museum. The original car was donated to the Smithsonian by Ransom Olds in 1915, and the Olds Museum, the Transportation Museum, is now honored to have that vehicle on display there. So to preserve that car in case anything ever happened to it, say some sort of a disaster of whatnot, now there was a complete set of blueprints that would be available. The wheels, anything that could be destroyed, are now replaced. And any measurements that needed to be for ironwork could also be available for people to see and rebuild the original car if anything happened to it. Plus, the original car needs to stay into an environmentally controlled room to keep its authenticity for many, many years to come. And this vehicle here can now be displayed on tour or at shows or someplace, so it can come to people to show people that Oldsmobile was the first mass-produced car in America, and here's an actual example of it instead of having to go all the way to Lansing, Michigan to see it. So it's just one of my dreams, and it's been a great 5.5 years. It's almost complete. I need to go back and see the original car and get a few more measurements, and then I can finish up what's left. Well, my main thing, I want to thank the R.E. Olds Transportation Museum, the R.E. Olds History Center, the Heritage Center, General Motors Corporation, and especially the Smithsonian Institute, because they're the ones who actually allowed me to do this project. If they said no, then it wouldn't have happened. So Dwayne has been very instrumental, and along with Helen Early and Jim Walkinshaw, and I could just go on with Deborah with the museum, and it's just too many names to try to remember. The Olds family's been very supportive, and I just want to thank everybody as much as I can from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to do this. I also want to mention to my long living significant other, Marilyn, who's been very instrumental with what I'm doing. And she's stayed up many nights while I'm trying to figure out what R.E. Olds was doing 105 years ago. And I think if R.E. Olds was here today, he'd probably say, why would someone want to recreate something that we had so much trouble with and we scrapped? But it is part of the history of Lansing and the history of Oldsmobile, and it's here again, and it's something we should all be able to be proud to own. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We just can't say enough about this man's craftsmanship in both wood and metal. It's just an absolute genius, and we're so glad to have you aboard in this project. And now we're going to unveil the most beautiful thing you've seen in a long, long time. Okay, boys?
great-granddaughters,
Yeah,
great-great-granddaughters.
we'll cover that. Yeah. Oh, they're going to do it? Okay. Unveiling it is the great-great-granddaughter of Ari Olds. Now I'm going to introduce Deborah Horstick, who is the executive director of the Ari Olds Museum. She's got some other people she'd like to introduce.
Thank you all so much for coming today. This is a real honor for the museum, and it has taken a lot of interconnecting and everything with Joe to be able to get this to happen, and just to be able to have the great-great-great-granddaughters, granddaughters of Ransom here to be able to share in this moment. And I'd like to introduce the family over here. This is the Olds family. We have, you guys have to name yourselves, but I'm sorry.
These are the youngest.
Yes.
Kieran and Alyssa, which are
Kieran and Alyssa.
4 grades.
Okay.
My name is Teresa, my husband Corey.
Corey, yes. And Doc?
I'm Armin.
Armin, yes. And Bunny 2 and Bunny 1. And Diane Tarpoff and Doris Anderson and Olds Anderson and Carol is not related. Oh. But you know what? We're all family here. It's just, anyway, just to have them all here is a feat in itself, and I think this is a real historical moment, because where else but in Lansing could this happen and have this moment again? So I appreciate y'all coming.
Standing next to me, Dan Schafferman, and Dan's got a rather unique vehicle. I was looking at the license plates on it, and they show 1941, and after talking with Dan here for a few moments, he did explain that it's not a 1941, but it was the last year that the car was licensed and on the road. Dan, what have you got here? You got a rare piece. Tell us a little bit about it. I know it's a Rio, but I don't know Rios. What is a Rio?
Well, this is a 1922 Rio. The Rio company was founded by R.E. Olds. It was his second automobile company after he left Oldsmobile. They were built from 1905 to 1936, and after that the company continued to build trucks under different management until about 75, I believe, was the last one. Yeah. And the company was started in 1904, so we're having a Rio Centennial in 2004. So look for that in the future too. This is one of their production model cars. It was a popular car of its day, sort of a middle class car. This thing cost $1,250 new. At the same time, you could have bought a Ford for under $300, I suppose.
Yeah, but that was a lot of money back in those days.
Oh, yes. And it was a prosperous farmer who bought this brand new, and I bought it from his family. I'm the second owner of the car.
How long have you had the vehicle?
Not quite 2 years. Pulled it out of a barn in Dundee, Michigan. And it was very much like this when I got it. I haven't changed it hardly at all. I've done a little bit of tune-up and maintenance on it, and I drive it. I've taken it to a couple of shows and a couple of tours. And I've probably put more miles on it in a year than they ever did, because they just used it to run into town, run to church on Sundays. And I had quite a long conversation with the children of the original owner, and they told me all about their family and what they did with the car, and I had lots of stories.
Okay, Dan, thanks. Okay, that's our Rio. A little bit different. Don't see too many on the highway, But Dan's got one here. Okay, history buffs. We know Lansing is the home of Oldsmobile. But where was the first Oldsmobile ever built? Well, near this site in 1886, Ranson Eli Olds designed, built, and first drove a steam-powered horseless carriage. And in 1893, he brought out his first automobile using a gasoline engine. In 1897, he organized the Olds Motor Vehicle Company and produced a car named the Oldsmobile. In 1901, he first applied mass production methods to automobile manufacturing. So basically what we're looking at here is we're on the site where Oldsmobile really started. And this was in 1886 when it first appeared. But, of course, the first gasoline-powered vehicle did not come out until 1897. And, of course, if you're in town and you want to see that 1897, head over to the R.E. Olds Transportation Museum, and it is on display. In 1904, having retired from the Olds Motor Works, Ransom Eli Olds was persuaded by friends in Lansing to organize the Rio Motor Company, and the name being formed from his initials. Well, we got a great car show going on in here at downtown Lansing. Another one of the activities that's going on is we're out here at Oldsmobile Park, and this is the home of the Lansing Lugnuts minor league baseball team. So a lot of the people that got their show cars parked for tonight, and they're over out here at the ball game taking in which hopefully will be a good game and a win for the Lansing Lugnuts. Standing next to me, Steve Zabin. And Steve, we've got a lot of people out here this evening. What's going on?
Well, we got the big auction, the fundraising auction for the Transportation Museum and the Heritage Center. Probably about 260 one-of-a-kind items and all kinds of neat Oldsmobile memorabilia.
Okay. Well, we're going to let you get started because it's almost 7 o'clock.
Yeah, about 9 minutes away. Yep, we're going to have some fun tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Make you one. You have to go to the front table and verify your registration, and they'll make you a ticket. No.
That's right here. You get $25 for all. 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, who get 10 for all the hubcaps? 10, who get 5 for the hubcaps? First item is always the hardest. Just come in and get it done. You get $5 to go, and 5 here, get 5 coming, 5 here.
One of the activities out here is a seminar on the Hearst Harry Oldsmobile. And we're going to go over to Dennis right now, and he's going to start us off and get this seminar going.
Hi, I'm Dennis Mothershed from Des Moines, Iowa. The Oldsmobile Club of Iowa and myself have been restoring the Hearst Harry Olds now for about the last 5 years. We have brought it to Lansing, Michigan, to the first big Oldsmobile show, national event where the car is to be shown to everybody. And I'd like to introduce you to Doc Watson, who is the main brains and the man behind the project back in 1966.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to everyone at the Harry Olds display. I'm Doc Watson, and for those of you who don't know, I'm the fellow that created this monster many years ago, and through the hard work and efforts of Dennis Mothershed, even after I destroyed it some years ago and buried it, he has resurrected it, and it's here today. And we're going to kind of share the stories of how Harry got started, why Harry was built, what some of the things that Harry did, and some of the fun times and some of the not so fun times. So hang on, enjoy, and thanks for being here. The Hemi under glass, and drove back directly into with just a direct drive in and out box and ran it like a digger. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go race and beat anybody, because one of the rules that I always had at Hearst is I would never build a car to race against our competition. We built promotional cars. We built cars to bring people to a new industry. We built cars to show people that you could do other things with cars, to enjoy cars. Because whether we like it or not, we work darn hard all our lives to stay alive just to die. And if all we do during all that time is work and gripe about bills and not have fun, seems to me like kind of a useless trip, doesn't it, you? So we got to have some fun. So that's kind of what Harry I thought was going to be, was fun. Woo! Anyway, so Schubeck, I talked him into, I said, Shubes, you got to get out of these dragsters. You got to get in a car that looks like a stock body car, because it'll get all the ink. It'll be on every magazine all over the place. It'll get your name, more brand recognition. We can hook you into Olds. We can get you some other cars and things. We can develop more of your traction devices. Got Jenkins involved with designing things for Chevrolet, and the business just skyrocketed. I mean, suddenly his chassis dragster business was nothing. The business was building traction devices, and when I first met Joe, he was working for a company that hydroformed steel. And the unique thing of hydroforming material versus stamping material.
Are there any other questions you folks would like to ask about the car or the clubs or the people that have helped rebuild this car? Yes, sir. These are 455 blocks that were built for the car, but with 425 cranks. The 425 blocks have a larger lifter. They have a 45-degree angle on the lifter bore, and they were a problem. They broke continuously, so we chose to use 455 blocks where camshafts and lifters are actually available. If you've tried to find a 425 lifter in your life in the last 5 years, you know they're near impossible. So to make the job easier, we've used 455 blocks to just ground the numbers off. Yes. Yes, sir.
Carl,
yes, Carl.
The reason for using the 66 versus the 67, was it just easier because you had more parts? Or?
That's because the bumpers and the aluminum hood that came off the 66 car were available to us at that point.
Are those fiberglass fenders?
Yes, those are fiberglass fenders on the car. Those were a donation from a company in Florida.
Did the original one have fiberglass?
No, I believe we had the aluminum front fenders on the original one.
There's a group of fellows over on
At this time, let's head over to another part of the show and catch up with some of the inside activities. Well, we're back over in another part of the show. Actually, it's the Heritage Center. It's not outside. It's off location here. And standing next to me is a gentleman by the name of
Jim Walkinshaw from the Olds GM Heritage Center.
Okay, Jim, I understand you've just reopened for this event. Is that correct?
We reopened for 4 days here, and we're going to be available for everybody at the show, and we've got some very unique activities and exhibits here. We can take you on a complete tour of Olds and General Motors engine making in Lansing from the very start to the very last engine. We've got some unique engines here that were used in boats and in irrigation service. Even got some displays on aircraft engines that we have actually made.
Okay, a lot of specialty vehicles. We've got
the first Hearst Olds. We've got a Kelmark behind me, which is a fiberglass vehicle, one of a kind. We've got several engines and cars that are unique cars in unique locations. The engines may be somewhere other than you normally think of them in the automobile.
Okay, and we've got the first electric Oldsmobile.
And we have the very first electric car that Olds made. It was made in Detroit, and we have a modern EV1. So we have 100 years of electric cars here on the floor.
Okay. You've got a lot out here, but I can't ask you to tell us about everything because we've got to come out here to see it for ourselves. Is that correct?
You need to get here because we've got something like 25 engines sitting here on the floor, and you will not have ever seen some of them.
Okay, thanks again. Standing next to me, someone I'd like you to meet. In fact, you've got to meet her because she's done a lot of work on this. And this is Judy Badgley.
Hi,
How are you, Judy?
I'm fine.
You've been working hard for months, probably years, I don't know, but at least
About
the last
3 years.
Well, all I can tell you right now is everything's really going great at the show here.
That's
we've
good
had
to hear.
we've had an excellent turnout of cars. The activities, you've got a full schedule every day of activities, and we're at the point where I don't know where we should go next because they're all important and they all cover so much of Oldsmobile.
Yes, they do. This one that we're going to do this afternoon is a real important one for the citizens of Lansing because this is a driving tour that's going to go to the shut-ins of Lansing that can't come down to see the cars that are all over the downtown area. And so we're taking the cars to them. They're going to 5 senior citizen retirement nursing homes and showing off the cars.
That's great. I mean, that's great. If you can't come to the show, we'll bring the show to you.
Bring the show to you. That's right. And we've got about 50 cars that are scheduled to go.
Okay. Well, we know you're busy. We're going to let you get back to work. You've done a heck of a job here on coordinating the show.
Thank you.
And let's just enjoy it and get on with some more to show here.
Cruise.
All right, we're just moments away. We're just about ready to get started on the cruise. And we're just going to hear those famous words from Judy here.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
All right, let's start firing them up. Show cars, we've got them. We've got well over 1,200 registered in the show. If you're ready to see some more, let's go back out to the show field and check them out. Well, here's a bunch of guys having a good time. You having a good time?
Hey.
All right, who have we got here?
Mike Scott, Indianapolis.
Ron Adams, Grand Ledge.
Ron Nowitzki, Indianapolis. Steve Zabin. Yeah, you know this guy. Williamston, Steve Zabin.
Bob Holmes, Kalamazoo.
Mike Mormon, Shelbyville.
Jamie Cross, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Joe Prino, Union Pier. Tim Lynch, Dalton, Georgia.
All right, a bunch of guys having a good time out here at the show. Well, we're going to continue with you on more coverage of the Historic Car Show from Lansing. Well, if you missed the event, we'll try to get you updated on what you did miss. Behind me, the 1975 Rio. That was the last Rio produced in Lansing here, and the last year of production. Stepping back in time a little bit, the 49 Rio. It was a one-ton pickup truck. Not like today's Chevrolets and Fords, that's for sure, but I'm sure it got the job done. And a little earlier, the 1920 Rio. And, of course, our last one up here in front, which was the 1913. So a nice turnout of Rios and nice representation and showing you a little bit of the past here. On display here at the Lansing Center, we've got a real nice stand-up 1970 Olds 442. A lot of them out at the show, of course, but this one's a little bit different because this is a movie car. And what am I saying? Well, this is one of the original production cars that was used in the movie Demolition Man. And, of course, one of our famous movie stars out there, Sylvester Stallone, was driving it. So it's really got a lot of history behind it. It's got, of course, the W30 package, and it's got all the stand-up features there that we're looking for in a performance automobile. And, of course, being a 1970, this was the most powerful 442 ever produced. All in all, we like it. We've got a couple of them at home. We'd like to take it home to our collection, but I don't think we're going to get it out of here. Hope you like it. We do. Here's one I look for every Sunday afternoon at the NASCAR races, but I'm not going to see it anymore because it's retired. But this is Harry Gant's 1991 Cutlass NASCAR race here. Harry had quite a season back in 91 with it, and he won 3 consecutive races at the end of the year and put Oldsmobile right up front there in the winner's circle. Hope you like it. We do. Wanted to bring it out and show it to you here while filming some of the activities at the Historic Car Show. Bringing back a little bit of Oldsmobile racing history, this is a 1950 Oldsmobile. If you remember back in those days, Oldsmobile was quite big in stock car racing. This is a nice restored vehicle. It's actually just a replica car. And one thing that's very impressive here out at the show is this is being manufactured now on a 1/25th scale model. So it's something you could pick up and purchase and keep a little bit of that 1950 racing on your shelf at home. This is a 1904 Oldsmobile Pie Wagon delivery truck. Okay, standing next to me is Harry Emmons. And Harry, nice seeing you out at the Oldsmobile show here.
It's always fun to remember Lansing's tradition and connection with Oldsmobile.
Okay, actually it's the Historic Cars of Lansing show.
Well, there have been many more companies than just Oldsmobile here, and we see a couple of them right now.
All right, tell us about one of those companies.
Well, the cars behind us were built by the Durant Motor Car Company, which was formed by Billy Durant in 1922 after he left General Motors.
Okay, and how long did he build them?
About 10 years. He folded up in 32. The Depression crushed him like it did many other companies.
Okay, there's one in the middle here. It's called the Star. What does that represent?
Well, that was the economy model. Durant naturally had his name on the big car, and then the Star was a small car that was designed to compete with the Model T Ford.
Okay, well, you brought us up to date. I don't know anything about these cars. That's before my day and age, probably a little before yours too, but having worked for Oldsmobile 30 years, you've probably got a lot of that information from Oldsmobile.
Well, needless to say, history is my passion.
Okay. All right, thank you again.
My pleasure.
Well, you've seen this guy before, and he's going to fill us in and bring us up to date. Harry, what are real cars and trucks?
Well, this was the second company started by Mr. Olds after he left Oldsmobile in January of 1904. He went down the road and formed another company in August of 1904 using his initials, Ransom Eli Olds.
Okay, all right. All right, now, tell me a little bit more. And you're a history guy. I know that from talking to you here earlier. You seem to know everything about what's going on these vehicles. So tell me a little more. Give me another tip, another secret. What should we find out from you that we don't know?
Well, this company, as versus Oldsmobile, was as much, if not more so, noted for their trucks, which are directly behind us. And the most famous truck was the REO Speedwagon.
All right. I think there's a rock band out there, isn't there?
Yes, there is. I've talked to them, and the young fellows, they're my age now, but when they were young fellows, they were students at the University of Illinois in the early 70s. And the one was from the Lansing area and liked the name REO Speedwagon, so they came and asked the company for permission to use it, and they said, go ahead, we aren't using it anymore.
Okay. All right, 1975 was the last year that the trucks were built.
Yeah, the very last one behind us is one of the 1975s. By then, the White Motor Car Company had bought both Rio and Diamond T and combined them here in Lansing into the Diamond Rio operation.
All right. What was approximately the last year on the cars?
The cars were built from model 1905 to 1936.
Okay. All right. Well, that's some more information from our history buff here. All right. I've got a question for my history buff. It's June 16th. The year is 1977. Harry, what happened on that day?
Well, we'd had a great year at Oldsmobile. They were selling like hotcakes. The Cutlass was the best name in the country. I believe Cutlass was #1 in sales for the model, and Oldsmobile altogether sold 1 million cars. And in the plant, they shut down the line. We all had cake and pop, and it was quite a celebration.
Okay, so this is the 1 millionth vehicle produced in the year 1977 by Oldsmobile.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Harry's got another one for us. Actually, I've got to tell you a little bit because, Harry, you're in a capacity where you see these cars. And tell our viewers why you're able to see them.
Well, I have the fortunate background of being part of the group that formed the R.E. Olds Museum.
Okay. So when we need cars for display, as we are at the show, you would be the gentleman that would go pick them out.
Sometimes. Oldsmobile used to have an exhibit and display department here in Lansing, and they kept a lot of these cars under cover there. And we would borrow some sometimes to go put on display at the R.E. Olds Museum. Now, when we put on the first show in '74, we borrowed quite a bit of the cars because we didn't have any of our own at that time. That was our opening show. And so I had to go up to exhibit and display and get some of them from time to time, and this is one of them.
Okay, this is one of your favorite drivers.
I love this car. I love the big car. I love the land yacht. Long live the dinosaurs.
All right, what are we looking at here?
1975 Delta 88 convertible. This is the last of the big convertibles made.
Was this the last one off the line?
Yes, it was.
And it is currently owned by?
The General Motors Collection.
So I couldn't buy that.
Neither could I.
Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.
Okay, the more I talk to Harry, the more information I get, and I'm accumulating a ton of it here this afternoon. Harry, you started with Oldsmobile in 1966, so this 1966 Tornado must mean a lot to you.
It sure does, because Oldsmobile introduced the first post-war front-wheel drive car with the Tornado, and that's the year I hired in, so I figured, hey, this company's a winner.
Oh, yeah, they're going to make a lot of them. Now, this is the first time they went in, or actually first time any car manufacturer did a front-wheel drive since what, the early 30s?
The Cord was the last one, what was that, 36, 37, I believe.
Okay, and this is serial number 1.
This is the first one. They built this, and they road tested it, and they beat it to death, and then they restored it. And ain't she a beauty?
And the GM people are keeping it.
Yep.
Well, my history buff alongside of me owns a piece of history. Harry, what have we got here?
This is a 1931 Rio Royale convertible coupe.
Pretty rare, I guess.
Well, the convertibles are the rarest. They only built 50 of them, and we know of 10 that survive.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, this is a 135-inch wheelbase. It weighs a little over 4,000 pounds. It has a 358 cubic inch straight-8 engine, and Rio used this same engine and up through a 4-ton truck.
All right. What type of transmission?
3-speed standard.
And approximate horsepower?
I think it's about 125. I forgot the exact figure, but it's 125, 127. It's not a high compression engine.
All right. Does it get up to speed? I mean, what's top speed?
Well, when these were brand new, they advertised them at going 120 miles an hour. Now, I haven't gone 120 miles an hour, but I heard of a road test one time where it went 118, and that sounds good. It's one of the very first cars designed using a wind tunnel, so they decreased the wind drag on this quite a bit.
How long have you owned it?
I bought it Christmas of '89. I had it professionally restored, and I started showing it summer of '92, so she's been shown for 10 years now.
Okay, stands up good out of the show here.
Well, it helps with a little upkeep from my friend, huh?
Okay. Thanks, Harry.
Sure thing.
Well, Harry, we've had an enjoyable afternoon with you here at the car show in the Lansing Center. We're going to have to wrap it up, but we'd like to have you describe one more vehicle. I know it's one of your favorites, but they're all your favorites from talking to you, and all of these are my favorites also, but give us a little bit of information on this last vehicle before we move over to another part of the show.
Well, this is the Olds Fiesta. It's probably one of the most special Oldsmobiles ever built. They only built about 450 of these. And the car was a souped-up version of a 98 convertible. The 98 convertible sold in about the $3,000 price range, and the Fiesta sold for over $5,000. So it was quite a special car.
Okay, this had a special feature, I think, something on the windows. What was that all about?
Well, this was the first time they used the wraparound type window, which became famous and the standard of the industry.
Okay, now I see. Now I see. Any other features that are really outstanding, you know, in the 1953 era that's on this vehicle?
Well, for that extra $2,500, you also got a all-leather interior and a hopped-up engine, which went a little faster.
Okay, well, you've filled us in. I appreciate all your help this afternoon, and we look forward to meeting up with you again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry. Well, we're over to swap meet area, and we figured we'd stop by, check with the vendors, see how they're doing. This is
Bill Ursham from Sylvania, Ohio.
Bill. How are we doing out here today?
Real good. It's been a nice week.
Well, I don't know. Not too much left on the table. Looks like you're brewing up some hot dogs here. Are we selling hot dogs or used parts?
Well, anybody that stops by gets a free hot dog or whatever they want to drink.
Hey, quite a deal. Quite a deal. We might take you up on that.
We got plenty of it, and we always bring enough for everybody.
Okay, sales been pretty good.
Yes, real good, real good. The weather's been good, and the sales have been real good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, if you're in the Oldsmobile Club, here's a gentleman you have to meet. This is
Mark Thatcher.
And Mark, you sell all the Oldsmobile merchandise.
Yeah, we sell the club merchandise. We started doing it about 3 years ago for the OCA, and we made a pretty good line of clothing here for them, and accessories, grill badges, and all the stuff that they'd want for their car, so that when they're at a show somewhere, everybody knows they belong to the OCA.
Okay, how's sales doing?
Oh, sales are really good. Sales are really good at every national. It's amazing how the people come out and support you. They bring their needs. They come and it's amazing. It's just amazing how many different items that the people buy. Because when they go back home, they want everybody to know they're in the OCA.
Okay, we're going to let you get back to work. We've got to run. We've got a lot to cover out here.
You better get back to work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Show cars, we've got them. We've got well over 1,200 registered in the show. If you're ready to see some more, let's go back out to the show field and check them out.
We are happy to announce that the Olds Heritage Center is reopening. We are purchasing the building. And with that, I want to make one quick announcement here to a couple of very special people. Part of that building over there will be the Early Walkinshaw Research Library, which is dedicated to Helen Early and Jim Walkinshaw. And if you two folks would stand up, please.
I think we ought to think about what a great run Oldsmobile had. We went from 1897, and we're going out now with dignity and class. Got the greatest product line, arguably, in the whole history of the company as we stand here tonight. As you look over here, you see some of the kind of concepts and near concepts that we had in mind. You'll find some modern cars that look a little like the old 442, got the V8s packaged in. That was all part of how you grab that history and bring it along. We've got the IRL program that probably won more Indy 500s than any manufacturer will before or since. Got more pace cars than any car. That's a part of the Oldsmobile heritage. When we did that IRL program, I had a boss that didn't know much about the car business. One day, somebody's going to wake up and say, you know, this was a hell of a car company. It's got a hell of a heritage. Maybe what we ought to do is get these going again. South Dakota, this old cowboy wants to see you and your car. Thanks a lot. It's been a great meeting.
to you.